is Papa Shango. And you are listening to ICOPOD. Beware of Papa Shango. Beware of voodoo. And definitely beware of ICOPOD.
And we're back with episode 86 of ICOPOD. I'm Bob Conley Jr. With me, as always, is Austin Skinner and Sarah Beckman. Oh, wait. Yeah, she's going to sit on the couch. All right, Austin, how you doing over there?
I have some breaking news for you.
Oh, what's your breaking news?
You literally don't know about this. Like, I didn't tell you about this off air. So this is the first time you're going to hear about it.
You're pregnant.
Well, besides that.
Oh. You're moving back to New York.
No. I am officially visiting home around Thanksgiving time.
Oh, you are?
I am. So I will be home Tuesday before Thanksgiving, leaving Monday after Thanksgiving. So almost a full week. The tickets were super cheap. And originally I was not going to come home and visit this year for the holidays at all, just to kind of save up a little bit of money. But I got flights to and from Syracuse with a carry-on for $250. Wow. So I bought them. So that's a thing. I will be up there. I don't really plan on going crazy as far as like trying to visit and see everybody again. Because last time I was home, it was kind of
too much.
Yeah. So I would like to obviously see you at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps meet the new lady friend if she is indeed real. But yeah.
She is indeed real. Okay, she's not a figment of my imagination.
Well.
That's happened one other time.
Right. So I'm just kind of judging you based off that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a thing. I'm excited. I know my parents are too. I mean, I just saw them recently. They finally came to Orlando to visit, so that was nice. But yeah, man, I guess you and Hogan 98 Money are on the list if I had to make one. And it's right around the corner, really. So
yeah, it's not too far away. So, well, I'm glad that you're making the trip back down for at least one of the holidays.
Well, it's funny because last year I did Christmas and New Year's, so I was almost home like week and a half.
Right.
That was too much. So I knew I was not doing Christmas and New Year's again. So I figured I like food, and what better time to be up and not have to worry about giving people gifts and still get food? Thanksgiving. There you fucking go. So that's what I chose. Because I'm selfish.
That's a good choice. What are you going to do for Christmas then?
Nothing. I'm going to be in Orlando by myself.
Terrific.
Yeah, that's what we call the Christmas spirit.
Yeah. Usually that's what I do for Christmas, but this year, Sarah wants to get lights. She wants to get a tree.
Oh, she's moving way too quick.
A fake tree.
Oh, okay.
I said absolutely no real tree ever.
Can you get like one of the pink tinsel ones?
I'm not gonna get a pink tinsel tree.
That would be fucking awesome.
No, that would be miserable.
And then you got to hang like red decorations on it.
No.
So it's just really over the top.
No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the smallest tree as possible and go from there. And then when I'm done with it, which is going to be this, on Christmas Day, throw it back in my closet.
Yeah. I think you should just leave it up all year.
I'm not going to leave it up all year. I'm not.
I think it would help like your joy.
I'm a joyful guy.
No.
No, you're not. You're a
No.
miserable man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
When
Thanks,
you watch
man.
as much wrestling as Bob Colling Jr. does, eventually the world just pisses you off.
That is that. You know what? You're not wrong.
So
You're literally not wrong. Oh, you know what? There was actually something I wanted to read, and thanks for reminding me. Actually, a couple of things.
of you getting pissed off and now you want to read something? Oh
No,
God.
not me getting pissed off. It's the ever fancy listener like feedback and comments thing.
Mm.
And one of them is from Mike Campbell, who sent it to the email that I sometimes check out. He sent it to us on August 27th.
Oh.
And this one, I mean, technically I could probably wait on it because it's in reference to something that happened in September. So actually, maybe I'll hold off on Mike Campbell.
Okay.
Until the timeline kind of makes more sense. So, sorry, Mike. Got your hopes up. Too fucking bad. Now, if Facebook were to ever properly load, I could probably find Ian Matthews and what he had said. So let's just fill some time before we get there.
Yikes.
Or not. Thanks, Austin. Way to just keep that going. Jesus.
I'm letting you flop and flounder this week.
I appreciate it. Well, we're recording a little bit later right now. It's 7:30 roughly, and
Yeah, I'm
that's
half
because
asleep, dude.
that's because Sarah and I attempted to put together a second bookcase. The
Yeah,
first one
sure.
went.
Mm-hmm. That's what the kids are calling it.
That's-
Putting you were putting the screws in the bookcase, buddy.
Yeah, I was putting the screws in the bookcase, like legitimate. That's not code for anything else.
Yeah.
Anyway, the first bookcase actually went pretty damn well, which ironically we did last Thursday. We put it together. It's pretty great. The second one, the motherfuckers put the holes unevenly in it. So we were screwed literally from the beginning.
Mm.
So it's kind of wobbly, but I'm still going to use it because I really don't feel like taking it apart to return it. Because, like, fuck that.
How much did you pay?
$29.
Ooh, that's for a wobbly bookcase. I mean, you kind of get what you pay for, man.
Yeah, but the first one was the same exact one.
Oh, okay. All right.
Which, ended up working, correctly.
Yeah.
So, if this was like a $60 one, you bet your ass I'm bringing it back and getting my money back. And then having them put it together for me.
Yeah,
Them
for
bastards.
sure. Yeah.
No, that's not who I wanted to do there. Great. No.
But
He
see,
put it. Now these put it on the Facebook page, which, hey, we tell them to. But then it's a pain in the ass to get there because for some reason Facebook likes to load extremely slow. Oh, a family on the Family Feud just won $20,000, in case anybody was wondering.
Can you pass some of that to me, or?
Yeah, well, with the taxes taken out and there's 5 teammates, you're probably only making about $2,000 each. So,
A side note here, not that anybody cares, or not that this is related in any way to what Bob's talking about, as he stallily opens Facebook. Recently, I bought some Walmart shirts, some T-shirts.
Mhm.
And never in my life have I been smaller than an extra large, but the extra large fits like a 3X.
Really?
Yeah, so like I'm not happy about it because I bought like 3 of them, thinking like, oh, extra large, like that's the size I am now. And lo and behold, absolutely fucking not. According to the George fashion line, I must be a large because the XLs are very long and very baggy.
That's kind of weird.
So I was pretty disappointed. Bob, I'd like you to take that back to your store, that feedback.
I'm not going to.
Okay. So I have to return those at some point. They were about $7 each. So really breaking the bank. Yeah. So that's where I'm at in the fashion world. George t-shirts from Walmart.
I don't remember how many of these I've revealed with Ian Matthews.
Uh-oh.
I feel like I talked about the one where Lex Luger running down to help out Virgil, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I think the next one would be Not My Sunburn. How about DiBiase's building of a stable? Did I talk about that one?
I don't think so.
And even if I did, Ian Matthews is an OG, so we'll just read it anyway. So I believe this is in reference to the episode 81.
Okay.
He comments, DiBiase building his heel stable could have been very effective if they'd done it properly, starting with Nikolai Volkov. Gave the wrong impression, almost made it comedic. I get he was essentially buying Volkov, but he had no heat or sympathy from the fans, so nobody gave two shits about him. That's extremely accurate. Hiring someone like Haku as a hired assassin type who randomly attacks faces and heels at DiBiase's behest would have made a far better impression. Adding Bigelow and Sid and even maybe Brian Lee post Undertaker would have made them a pretty badass stable.
I mean, yeah, those are all fair points, and those are all pretty good guys that I think we've even brought up a time or two at least for each.
I know Bigelow and Sid for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Volkov being thrown in there is kind of a joke. So
well, yeah. I have to admit though, I think with Brian Lee just as Brian Lee, I don't think that would have worked. I don't think he's nearly the right candidate for something.
I don't think
like
he fits in with the WWF to begin with.
No.
He also made a comment about our half-year awards, which was on episode 82.
Mm-hmm.
And he says the following, good call on the half-year list. I found myself in agreement with everything you both said. Though I'd say Owen was most hated than Lawler. At this point, Lawler had more go-away heat, I'd say, than anything else, certainly compared to what he had in 93. Owen, meanwhile, was making a name for himself and showing what he was capable of. Doink and Dink, for that matter, are more than worthy winners. However, you made a good point about Tatanka's momentum as well. I personally always thought he was overexposed and overrated. Sorry, Bob. But since WrestleMania 9, his stock had fallen drastically, being used as essentially the third wheel in which to kickstart a Jarrett Doink feud speaks volumes of this. Why he got such a potentially big push in the first place, I don't know. As ever, keep up the good work, and thanks for the weekly entertainment. You're welcome, Ian Matthews, and thank you for continuing to send us your thoughts, as we always encourage. Mike Campbell, don't worry, when we get into September of 94, which is in reference to your story, I'll be sure to include it. Ian Matthews actually made another comment regarding the Bret Owen feud. So let's simply, I guess I made it. I don't even remember doing this. Or did you do it?
Yeah, I might have made this post because I was getting hyped for SummerSlam. So I was like, you know what? Let's see if anybody's got any kind of cool retrospective stories about the feud.
Okay, so he's got quite a bit here to say about it. So Ian Matthews says, aside from their stellar WrestleMania 10 match, my other main memory of this longevity, from Rumble in January to Survivor Series in November, Owen was always involved somehow with Bret. You could argue that Owen came out on top overall. I'm not going to spoil the last part of that sentence. I think, too, that awarding Owen the King of the Ring, getting other family members involved, actually helped the feud instead of unnecessarily prolonging it, and it added fresh meat to things, and it stopped it from going stale. Along with the Mega Power storyline, I'd say this is one of the best stories of the WWF Golden Era.
Wow.
Incidentally, as many of you most likely know, Bruce Hart was the initial choice for this feud. How different things could have been if they'd gone with him instead. Would we be talking about their feud and matches in as glowing as terms as we do with Bret and Owen? Somehow, I doubt it.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair point, too. My memories, just to kind of shine the spotlight back on top of me, yeah. I gotta say though, I don't know if I agree with Mega Power. I think it's better than that.
I think Mega Powers is the go-to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, it's two of probably the biggest stars in the business, so I guess I'll give you that. Yeah. The only thing that always jumps to mind about the Bret and Owen thing is the realism. How easily it is to connect with the story and how much Bret and Owen really put into it. I mean, I remember hearing stories from multiple sources and DVDs and what have you over the years that they would even avoid like sitting next to each other in the airport.
Yeah.
Like they really, really sold it. And I think that's kind of a lost art. I mean, to really not only get people to believe on TV, but off screen too. So I don't know, man. For me, like Brett and Owens is top tier. It is a top tier feud, all time top tier, in my opinion. Matches usually deliver, and they just balance each other so well. Owens so good at being bad, and Brett's so good at being good in this time period. So, yeah, I think I agree for the most part. I'm bummed because I know kind of where we end up, and I would have liked to have seen maybe the shoe on the other foot, but we'll get into that.
Well, I know with their feud too, Brett kind of told Owen that the second that he turned heel that it changed everything, that they wouldn't be able to hang out or anything.
Yeah.
So maybe one of the last examples of keeping the kayfabe alive.
It's pretty interesting. It really is, because like imagine a brother team feuding today. Say the Usos feud, right, on TV or something. That's not going to have nearly. It's not like it is back in the day. It's not going to have nearly the same amount of impact, whether they're mid-card guys or main event guys. I mean, you just take. It's just such a unique dynamic. The Hearts in general, and especially Brett and Owen, is so unique. And I don't think it's something that you can easily duplicate. Like, brothers fight all the time, but there's something special about the rivalry that Brett and Owen kind of had competitively. So I think there's something to be said about that.
Sure. Well, let's get right into our regular ICOPOD shenanigans. Some observer notes. Raw from July 25th got a 3.4 rating, which is one of the best ratings ever for the program to this point.
Yeah.
I mentioned before that Chris Benoit was going to be brought into the company for a tag team babyface push. Apparently, he was going to team with Conan. But as we had mentioned before, Conan declined the offer. So Benoit is still taking independent bookings at this time. So it looks like that might be a delayed entry into the company.
That might be for the best.
Probably. There's no other observer notes, actually. So let's go right into house show notes. And there was a house show in Los Angeles, California from the Great Western Forum on July 29th, 1994, with 7,000 fans in attendance. And the card featured the following. 1-2-3 Kid taking on Quebecer Pierre, the WWF Tag Team Champions, Head Shrinkers defending against the Heavenly Bodies, Jerry Lawler in singles action against Duke Drosy, Lex Luger squaring off against Crush, Adam Bomb battling Quang, WWF Intercontinental Champion Diesel defending against Razor Ramon, Mabel in singles action against Bam Bam Bigelow, and the main event saw WWF World Champion Bret Hart defending against Owen Hart in a 60-minute Iron Man match. Is this a house show that you would attend?
You know what? My first knee-jerk reaction was no. But as you kind of went through, it ended up being kind of almost like a good preview to SummerSlam, especially with some of the feuds that they're trying to fuel. So, you know what? I think I would. I think I would go. It's not a front row show by any means. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a nosebleed show either, though. So I might fall somewhere in the middle. Maybe we're talking first floor up, first floor bleachers or something like that. But yeah, I think I'm in. I think I'm in. I think I'm going.
I think I'm gonna go do it too. Having Bret Owen on top with a stipulation, Razor Diesel on your undercard.
Yeah.
Head Shrinkers and Heavenly Bodies is a match we've wanted to see. I think there's enough here to kind of justify going into it.
Yeah.
Let's go into some syndication. And this week it's just one match, but boy, it's kind of a big one. On the July 30th edition of WWF Superstars, WWF World Champion Bret Hart defended against Bob Backlund.
Yeah. And let me just tell you, folks. So Bob, usually the typical way Bob will send me these syndications, as long as he can find them, is on YouTube. So there's two things that I always check when I open the video first. First of all, how long's the scrub bar?
Right.
This fucker was 20 minutes. That was a big gulp. Because I'm thinking, okay, 20 minutes Bret Hart, 20 minutes Bob fucking Backlund.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I also proceed to check quality because they're all over the place. Sometimes it looks like it's literally ripped from a VHS tape that somebody recorded, and sometimes it's like network quality. So I'll kind of like skip through a little bit just to kind of check it out, see what it looks like. Lo and behold, this entire 20-minute video is the French commentary version of a Bob Backlund Bret Hart match, 20 minutes. Fucking shoot me. Kill me.
Listen, it is not my fault. Okay? Because when I sent it to you, I didn't even pay attention to any of that. I just saw the link and sent it to you. Now, when I usually watch my stuff, I don't even have commentary on. Like, I just...
Really?
Yeah, that's usually how it is. Because even when I review stuff, because to me, the commentary pertains nothing to me.
See, I'd lose focus if it was just silent.
Yeah. See, though, I don't know, that's just how I am.
Yeah.
So when you told me that, I asked you for the aftermath. I was like, well, it was still the same one, right? And you were like, well, do you even watch it? And I was like, well, of course I watch it, but I want to make sure that I'm sending you the same thing that I'm watching, because if I don't listen to commentary, then it could be two different things.
That's true.
That I sent you.
Right.
So, but luckily it was the same thing.
So, yeah, just as kind of like a preface to this, because Bob's going to go into the action here in a minute, I was not happy with, well, because last couple of weeks, we've had quite a bit of syndication to get through.
For sure.
So this week, it was only one syndication match per episode. So I was psyched. I was like, okay. Usually syndications are anywhere from 7 minutes to maybe 11. All right. So
and
boom.
that's including entrances and stuff.
Right. And that's the whole video. And sometimes even like afterward where it's not even the match anymore. So boom, perfect. No problem. I click on this one. It's like, okay, it's a 20-minute match, but there's only one. And then to kick me right in the nuts, the French commentary kicks in. So that's what I had to look forward to with this one here.
Well, you know what? It's just like New Japan. You like to listen to New Japan with Japanese commentary. What's the difference? And that's how you win an argument, folks. So let's get right into the action.
I don't like French.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So the whole premise here we would know this after, not because obviously we don't know the French commentary, but the whole idea here is that Backlund is finally getting a rematch for the WWF World Championship that he lost 10 years ago.
What the fuck?
And so it's amazing that they've held on to this angle for 10 years, that they could not wait from 1984 until 1994. They couldn't think of any other time to shove him in there. They waited till right now. So Bob rams his shoulder into Hart's midsection in the corner, and he rolls Bret up for a 2 count. Backlund is trying for a series of pin attempts and takedowns, but Bret is able to get out of them rather quickly. Backlund looks very determined to win the championship tonight. Hart starts to work over Bob's left shoulder. Bret keeps control with a simple armbar for a few moments. Backlund slams Hart down to the mat, but Bret counters into a hammerlock. He continues to focus on Backlund's left arm. Hart punches Backlund, but Bob fights back with a stiff forearm shot. Backlund headbutts Bret into the corner, and Bob plants Hart with a pile driver. Bob goes for a cover, but Bret kicks out at 2. Hart backdrops Backlund and follows up with a scoop slam. Bob counters an abdominal stretch with one of his own. He then hip tosses Bret out of an abdominal stretch. They both roll to the floor. Bret works on Backlund's lower back once they get back into the ring, but Bob sends the champ hard back first into the corner. Backlund slams Bret onto the canvas and gets a 2 count. Backlund lifts Hart up onto his shoulder and squeezes Hart. Bret gets free and nearly backslides Bob for a 3 count. Bob holds on to Hart and they bridge up a few times, with Bob nearly winning with a backslide of his own. Bret drives down Bob. Well, let me try that again. Bret drives Bob down with a backbreaker, but can't keep him down for a 3 count. Hart goes for the sharpshooter, but Backlund is able to block it. Backlund trips Bret to the floor, and then Backlund quickly follows him to roll the champ back into the ring. Backlund drives Hart down to the mat with a back suplex, and both men are down. Hart gets up first, and he tries for a suplex, but Bob counters with a roll-up. Bob thought he won the match, and he goes for a slam, but Hart is able to counter with a roll-up of his own, and he wins the match. So clearly, Backlund's going to be a little bit pissed off by this. After the match, Backlund is obviously, again, pissed off that he lost the match via a roll-up. But, he goes, Bret wants to shake hands, show some mutual respect because Bret's a fighting champion. Hart is playing to the crowd for a lengthy period of time, but Bob doesn't want to shake hands again. So he slaps Bret and then proceeds to lock in the cross-face chicken wing. Bob Backlund has completely snapped at this point. Several referees come down to break Bob off of Bret Hart. Backlund gets up and he's staring at his hands in complete shock. So it looks like Bob has gone completely insane. His hands are, I don't know what's going on with his hands. Maybe they're giving him some kind of message. But first, Austin, what did you think of this Bret Bob Backlund showdown?
I can appreciate, almost more than anybody I know, a really technically sound match. Not for 20 minutes, though. Realistically, it was catch as catch can. It was all reversals. There was no real offense for either guy. Maybe an abdominal stretch here and there. For me, a 50-50 match, which is pretty much what this felt like, especially when both guys have basically the same style, is tough to watch. Plus, it's Bob Backlund. And there's no reason why Bret Hart should be giving Bob Backlund a 50-50 match, in my opinion. So, throughout the whole thing, I was just more or less confused that this 50-year-old man was not only giving Bret kind of a run for his money, but outmaneuvering him in several points during the match. We got several near falls, and then when Bret scores a real one, basically like a stunned pin, like it's like unexpected. I don't like that finish because it shouldn't be unexpected because it's fucking Bret Hart and it's Bob Backlund. So I didn't really like that. It wasn't a horrible match for 20 minutes, but again, if you're going to have those lengthy 50-50 battles, the styles have to clash a little bit. You can't be coloring with the same crayon for 20 minutes. You really can't. So that's where I was at with it match-wise. The aftermath, I thought it was really weird that Bret's like celebrating and Bob Backlund's staying in the ring pacing. So I automatically am thinking, okay, this is fucking weird. Did Bob like not get the cue to get the fuck out of the ring? Like, what is he doing? So when he seemingly like turns heel, chicken wings Bret after the match, looking at his hands like, oh my God, what did I do? If this means we're getting a Bret Hart Bob Backlund feud following whatever happens with Owen and Bret, I'm gonna head out. Like, I really don't have interest in that at all. I don't have interest in Bob Backlund at all. And again, here we fucking go. You want to make a stable? Put Bob Backlund together. Put him in with fucking Ted and put him in with fucking Volkov. And just have them ruin Raw. And just be so boring and fucking 80s and even earlier than that. Just do that. Because really, other than that, there's no reason to have any of those type of guys on the show at this point. So, I don't know, man. If that's where we're headed, I'm not interested. I'm not intrigued by a heel Bob Backlund. I already fucking hate the guy, so in my mind, he's already a fucking heel. Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan of the finish. Not a fan that he took Bret Hart, the champion, who's in his prime, to his limit. When especially commentary is making several notes that Bob Backlund is no longer in his prime, mind you.
Right.
Yeah, I see where they were going, but I think they missed the mark.
So I enjoyed it.
Of course you did.
I did. I kind of like that Backlund borderline was desperate to reclaim his championship. So like if Bret went to the floor, he would go immediately. Like he wasn't going to settle for a count out or any of that. Like he was determined to win the match. The counters and all that stuff could get maybe a little tiresome because it was so repetitive. But from a simple story breakdown, I enjoyed it. I agree with the whole 50-50 thing Brett and Backlund doing that, but I mean, who is Brett really going to work with outside of Owen at this point on the heel side that could justify that role? I mean, sure, Diesel and Shawn could, but I mean, they're kind of busy with Razor and stuff like that. So you somehow have to build this up anyway. And remember, back in '93, for about 2 weeks, I was like, put Bob Backlund in the main event scene, and it just took him over a year, and they've maybe done it. What do you think about this new Bob Backlund where he has apparently gone insane?
Again, man, I hate him. I already hate him. And to me,
so you're going into it with already a clouded opinion.
I'm very biased, yes. I mean, at the same time, could I see where they're like, oh, this old timer's pissed with the new generation, so he can't believe the direction the WWF is going. Yeah, that makes sense to me, and it works. But, like, I don't want to see Bob Backlund all the time. It's like not worth it to me. The storyline works and makes sense, but to me, it's not worth it. So that's where I'm at with it.
Well, maybe you'll warm up to it
over
time if it were to remain like this.
Maybe.
Let's go into the August 1st, 1994 edition of Monday Night Raw, and we are live for about the first time in I don't know how many weeks, 4 or 5 it seems.
It feels so refreshing.
Yeah, we're from Youngstown, Ohio. We start off with a video highlighting the Razor Ramon Shawn Michaels ladder match and feud at WrestleMania 10. Also footage from last week where they had a brawl after the Luger Diesel match was shown. Razor Ramon cuts a pre-tape promo and says that he will not have to worry about Michaels at SummerSlam. Shawn Michaels then also chimes in and cuts a promo basically saying that Ramon will not make it to SummerSlam. And that leads us to our Raw opening video. And we go right to the commentary team with Vince McMahon and Randy Savage welcoming us to the show. And again, it's live. McMahon hypes up Ramon versus Michaels. Savage predicts that Ramon will win just like McMahon defeated the government.
Yeah, his return here, and they're already making fucking comments. I was pretty surprised.
Yeah. Surprised, but kind of to be expected. That's what Vince McMahon kind of does.
Yeah.
We start off the show with Shawn Michaels taking on Razor Ramon. This one gets significant amount of time, so bear with me for the description of it.
Yeah.
Michaels shoves Ramon, and they lock up with Michaels controlling Razor with a side headlock for a brief time. He trips Ramon, and he walks on his back. Ramon greets Michaels with a right hand and tosses Michaels into the corner, causing Michaels to flip over to the floor. Ramon punches Michaels off the apron a few times. Michaels pokes Ramon in the eyes and heads to the top rope. He leaps off, but is met with a right hand in the midsection. Michaels comes off the ropes and connects with a swinging neck breaker. Ramon catches Michaels leaving off the middle rope and connects with a fallaway slam for a 2 count. Ramon controls Michaels on the canvas with an arm lock. Michaels delivers several forearm shots in the corner and chokes Ramon briefly as well. Snapmare by Michaels and stomps down onto Ramon's chest. Michaels drop kicks Ramon as he comes off the ropes and gets a 2 count. Several jabs by Michaels and he drops Ramon with the right hand. Michaels chokes Ramon across the middle rope and distracts the referee so Diesel can choke him as well. Shawn has a sleeper hold on Ramon, but Ramon battles out with elbows. Ramon takes Michaels over with the backside and he gets a near fall. Michaels with a quick clothesline, he gets a near fall of his own. Ramon with a few elbows to Michaels' gut, but blocks a drop kick. Ramon catapults Michaels over the top onto Diesel on the floor as Raw goes to a commercial break. Michaels heads to the top rope, but is caught by Ramon and slammed off the top. Ramon with an abdominal stretch, but Michaels pokes Ramon in the eyes to break free. Michaels with a few elbow smashes, but Ramon is able to drive Michaels' face first down to the mat after blocking a backdrop attempt. Ramon connects with a backdrop of his own. Ramon has a bear hug locked in. He keeps the hold on Michaels for several moments. Michaels elbows out of the hold, and he goes for a scoop slam, but Michaels' back hurts too much. Ramon goes right back to the bear hug. Michaels gets out and goes for a sunset flip, but is punched by Ramon. Ramon with a cover, but Michaels uses his legs to get a cover of his own, but only gets a 2 count. Ramon nails Michaels with a quick clothesline for a near fall, shoulder block by Ramon, but Michaels sends a charging Ramon over the top to the floor. Diesel clotheslines Ramon on the floor as the referee is distracted as Raw goes to another commercial break. for some reason that just zoomed out on me. Ramon is rolled back into the ring by Diesel. Michaels with a forearm drop on the apron, and Ramon is hurting at this point. Michaels with a few jabs in the corner, and Ramon is wobbly. Michaels connects with a leaping elbow, and he gets a 2 count. Ramon blocks a right hand, and he mounts a comeback. Michaels stops the comeback by leaping onto Ramon's back with a sleeper hold. Ramon is fading, but prevents his arm from dropping a third time. Ramon gets out of the hold with a back suplex, and both men are down. Ramon slowly makes a cover, but only gets a 2 count. Ramon kicks Michaels as Michaels attempted a backdrop. Ramon comes off the ropes and collides heads with Michaels, knocking both men out. Ramon delivers a few right hands to knock Michaels down. Michaels flips upside down in the corner and comes out, only been met with a clothesline from Ramon. Ramon crotches Michaels on the top rope, but is elbowed by Michaels. Michaels leaps off the top and connects with a crossbody, but Ramon rolls through for a near fall. Michaels gets up and he super kicks Ramon for a near win. Michaels signals for the Razor's Edge. Ramon blocks the move and he backtraps Michaels. Ramon goes for Razor's Edge. Diesel gets on the apron and Ramon punches Diesel and Michaels a few times. Michaels tries to hit Ramon with the IC belt, but misses and is backtrapped by Ramon. Ramon is sent into the ropes where Diesel's still on the apron, and he delivers a big boot to kind of stagger Ramon. That allows Michaels to roll up Ramon from behind, and he wins the match. After the match, Michaels and Diesel beat down Ramon for several moments. Diesel drops an elbow coming out the ropes. Diesel runs the referees away as Michaels shoves Ramon away instead of adding more punishment. So, what did you think of this, about 20-minute match to start the show?
Easily one of my favorite Raw matches we've ever seen. Far and away. Basically half of Raw was eaten up by this match. It did not feel that way at all. Yeah. It was basically nonstop action the whole time, bell to bell. And one of the only things I could think about it as I was watching, because I literally watched the syndication match, and then of course I started Raw right after. If you were to bring a non-watcher and sit them down, play the syndication match between Bret Hart and Bob Backlund, and play the Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon match from Raw, and ask them where you think the heavyweight championship was being contested for, you're thinking it's probably the Razor Ramon Shawn Michaels match.
You would be probably at least hoping.
Because there's no way that slow, boring match was more important than the one you just watched. Because these guys are fucking going at it and having a fucking awesome match. So I was really kind of comparing the two and really, first of all, thinking that it doesn't paint Bret in a very good light because we're talking new generation. These two guys just showed it. Bret and Bob Backlund did not. So that's a dangerous brush to paint Bret with, I think. I think he has a nice balance, but stuff like that kind of pushes him almost to the background a little bit, in my opinion. The chemistry between Razor and Shawn is off the charts. So good. Such a great feud. Two guys that really can tell, just thoroughly enjoy working together. Big fanfare for this one. It felt big, felt like a big match. And both of these guys looked awesome. Wicked good shape, tan, ready to go. I loved all the little sequences that they had planned, even right from the beginning. Shawn's bumping like a fucking machine for Razor Ramon the whole time, which was so good. We even got little fancy graphics for the replays of what happened during this match, like during the breaks and stuff, which again, they're really trying to incorporate. So I am liking that. And I thought it was really weird since this is the first time we've seen Shawn in action since WrestleMania, and they make note of that. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't believe that. I almost felt like I remembered seeing Shawn in a match since then, but I guess not. I guess that's not the case. I really do like that kind of towards the end, both guys were really gassed and it was like near falls after near falls. The crowd was super into this, super into it. Popping on every little false finish. The super kick almost got me. I was like, okay, that's it. Like he hit the super kick, near fall. I was like, holy shit, this is really good. I did like too. I didn't even mind the finish, to be honest. I love the fact that they didn't use the belt. I love that they teased it and he doesn't hit it. And I liked the big boot into the finish. I think that sets up Diesel Ramon perfect. I don't think it takes away from the match at all because it adds fuel to the fire that's already burning. I don't have a bad thing to say about this match. If anything, go out of your way to find it. Go out of your way to watch it. This is one of those Raw matches where you really kind of got to make note of because it's super good. And it's like these two guys more often than not are delivering. Razor and Shawn, man, 94, they're having a good year, in my opinion. I did like, the officials come down. They keep Diesel away from Razor. They're threatening Diesel with fines, and he's like, oh, real scary. You know what I mean? So there's already a little bit of attitude there from both Diesel and Shawn, which is good because that's eventually what they kind of blossom into. So, yeah, man, top to bottom, bell to bell, super into it, highly suggest it. Hasn't aged really that much at all. So, yeah, go out of your way to find it and watch it.
It's kind of like we got pretty lucky with having Brett Kidd just like 2 weeks ago.
I know.
And then having Shawn Razor here.
Yeah, it's good shit.
If you go into it expecting the same quality to their ladder match, you might be disappointed, at least in my view. Because with the ladder match, they're able to do substantial more because you're playing off of the ladder as well. I thought maybe a few things were a little bit repetitive for me. A couple of the spots or kind of sequences. But for a Raw TV match, it's definitely, I would say, since we've done this, in the top 5.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it. And the finish, like you mentioned, it doesn't bother me at all because it gives even more context and heat for the Diesel Ramon feud, and it also gives Shawn a pretty big victory over Razor Ramon. So, and you're protecting Razor in the same context. So, I don't think anything they did here was necessarily bad. It was well worth the 20 minutes or so to enjoy it. I would rather see that than a Duke Droese match or well done or whatever. So
I was gonna say, yeah, it's something that means something. It's not just filling TV time on Raw. This shit was fucking. There was twists and turns all over. Diesel's involved. He's getting in. Shawn lands on Diesel, and there's already kind of a little bit of a friction there, as we saw before. Maybe some professional jealousy between the two, a little bit. Mm-hmm. So yeah, man, it's just like I said, top to bottom, super, super good.
We go to the SummerSlam 1994 report with Todd Pettengill. Basically, all that's been added to the show at this point is Lex Luger taking on Tatanka. He, of course, goes over the double main event, but that was talked about the last couple of weeks, so there's no real reason to continue to harp on that. Let's go right into the second match. It's the WWF Women's Champion Alundra Blayze defending against Bull Nakano. Well, actually, I guess it's a non-title. Well, whatever. In my heart, it's a title match.
Oh, I thought it was too. That's weird.
Yeah, maybe it was, maybe it isn't. I don't know. But yeah. Nakano works on Blayze with a slap and sends her throat first into the top rope. Blayze with a few kicks, but is punched in the gut by Nakano. Nakano tosses Blayze down to the mat by her hair a few times. Blayze hits a Hurricanrana to get a 2 count. Blayze knocks Nakano down with a side kick, but misses a second attempt. Nakano chops Blayze against the ropes, and then she whips Blayze down by her hair a few more times. Nakano goes for a rather cocky cover, but only gets a 2 count. Nakano with a sleeper hold and chokes Blayze on the top rope for a few moments. Nakano plants Blayze with a nice pile driver, but only gets a 2 count on the cover as she pulls Blayze up. Nakano powerbombs Blayze again, but only gets a 2 count. Blayze gets a near fall with a sunset flip and heads to the middle rope where she misses a missile drop kick. Nakano scoop slams Blayze and leaps off the top, missing a leg drop. Blayze takes Nakano over with a German suplex, but Nakano kicks out again. Blayze rolls Nakano up as Nakano went for a German suplex, but only gets a 2 count. Nakano slams Blayze off the middle rope. Blayze drop kicks Nakano off the middle rope, Nakano falls to the floor. Blayze leaps off the top and takes Nakano out with a cross body. Nakano sends Blayze into the ring post, Blayze backdrops Nakano on the floor, and this causes both women to be counted out, so it ends in a double countout. After the match, Luna Vachon enters the ring and attacks Blayze, but she is slapped. Blayze sends Vachon into Nakano, and both women fall to the floor, and that allows Blayze to stand tall in the ring with her championship. I think I've noted it numerous times on here before. I'm not a big fan of women's wrestling. It's not something that I necessarily go out of my way to watch. But Blayze and Nakano here, I would say, really kind of made me intrigued to see what they could do with more time and less restriction like TV. The moves they're pulling off, suplexing each other, Nakano throwing Blayze around was a pretty good visual. And Blayze, you go back to when she was Medusa in WCW, where I think she was mostly just a manager. You wouldn't think that she could do the moves that she's pulling off here. So I was pretty surprised by it, and I enjoyed it, I would say, a great deal. And you're coming right off of Michaels Ramon. This is shaping up to be maybe one of the better Raw episodes, and we're like halfway through it so far.
I was floored because I remember these two having good chemistry.
Yeah.
I didn't remember this match, but I'll tell you what, I ain't going to forget it anytime soon either. Because these two fucking killed it. To follow up what was an awesome match with just as awesome of a match for two female wrestlers in 1994 is saying something. And that's exactly what happened. These two went out to prove a point, and boy, did they fucking prove one. Because it was just as entertaining as I would say the previous match was. They're being rough here. They're laying the shit in. Big pile drivers. Just everything is impactful and taken seriously between these two. So good. Bull Nakano looks fucking majorly dangerous. Like, oh, she's probably going to win the championship very soon.
I took her as a legitimate threat.
Oh, my God. 10 times more than any other female that Alundra Blayze has faced thus far. Hands down.
Honestly, I guess it probably is a non-title because she pulled her up on the cover. But
yeah,
if it were to be a title match, going into it, I would instantly think that she's going to win the title. And I think Nakano at some point will win the title.
Agreed.
Because, there's no other competition. But if these girls have a match at SummerSlam, sign me up. And even if they were to... Yeah, and if they had a match, the next 4 pay-per-views, I don't give a shit. Like, trade the belt a couple of times. Go to WrestleMania 11, and have your big blow off there. I would be all about it. So I was thoroughly impressed and surprised by the action.
And you know what? Even like the double count out finish, it makes us want more. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah. You don't want to job out Nakano in a non-title.
No.
Maybe if you have her beat Blayze, it really adds the heat to it. But having it be a count out, it's even. There's no concrete finish here. So I think like what you said, it adds more suspense as to like who the hell could even win this. Well,
and I think one of the most important points is it doesn't end in a DQ. Luna doesn't get involved. Yep. So I think that was a huge dodge bullet because I'll tell you what, when Luna comes into the ring after the bell rings, the match is over. Luna comes in and hits Alundra, and once she does, the air comes out of the crowd. I can visibly see and hear the crowd being like, like they're finally exhaling. Like, okay, this is back to the stuff we're used to. Because what we just saw blew our fucking mind. But, okay, it's just Luna again. So I'm really glad they kind of kept a lid on Luna Vachon for this. Because these two tore it the fuck up. And I'm totally interested in more of that. So I'm hoping, like Bob says, hopefully we get a match for them at SummerSlam. Because, again, sign me the fuck up, too.
Yeah. That's a rarity for me to be like, yo, women's wrestling, I'm all about it. But here we are, Alundra Blayze and Bull Nakano.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, if the episode of Raw ended here, best one we've seen.
Yeah, I'm totally complacent with it.
That's it. Fine. Like, what the fuck, man? What is going on this week? We're live. We're getting fucking killer matches. Like, I'm getting spoiled here. I'm loving it.
Unfortunately, it's not over yet.
Yeah, well.
Not to say that it goes off the rails, but we still got a couple of things to touch on. A video promoting next week's show is aired, and it will be Bam Bam Bigelow and IRS teaming up to take on Tatanka and Doink the Clown. So odd tag team pairing here. I know IRS is not part of the corporation last I knew.
I know, yeah.
So I don't know if this is just like a thrown in, like, oh, well, I mean, him and Ted are buddies.
Fuck.
It's kind of gone without saying, but
Yeah.
maybe this is the way he's introduced to it. I don't know.
No.
But then Tatanka teaming with Doink. I mean, I know Tatanka's had issues with Bigelow and IRS in the past, but the focus here is with Tatanka and Lex Luger. So I don't know why we're going in reverse for him.
Literally.
So that threw me for a loop. But
Yeah.
that is our apparent featured match, clearly a few notches below the previous two matches that we've just discussed.
And I want to make note here that from this point forward in this episode of Raw, everything feels rushed.
Yeah.
Like you can tell their main focus was to get Razor and Shawn over and let the girls fucking tear it up. Everything else other than that was probably like, and then we'll squeeze this and this in if we have time. If not, fuck it. Yeah. So that's what the rest of the show kind of feels like.
And the next segment is Jerry Lawler is in the crowd, and he goes over to a couple, and he's ripping Randy Savage and his dating choices. And he goes up to a man who has a question for his girlfriend. So we've seen this, I think, at least twice now. So this will be the third time.
With Bobby.
This is yeah. The man proceeds to propose to his girlfriend. She is clearly embarrassed and is dragged into the ring with Lawler for King's Court. So the second that he brings her to the ring, I'm thinking these are plants.
For sure.
I don't think this is a legitimate proposal like they had been in the past. So just keep that in mind for what happens here. Lawler says that she doesn't have to get married, and he starts ripping on the guy in the crowd. She ends up saying yes to the gentleman. Lawler says he wants one of the puppies if they have kids, which is kind of weird. Lawler ends up kissing the lady, and the boyfriend's kind of like fake pissed. It looked in the crowd like, hey, man, what are you doing? Whatever. So that leads us into Lawler introducing Bob Backlund as the WWF World Champion because Backlund never technically lost the belt.
And really quick, too, to kind of touch on this with you.
Yeah.
King forcing a kiss on this girl like only King could did not come off very well.
No.
So that was very, very awkward. Touching back also to when Savage is ripping on Randy Savage, one of my favorite lines he uses is that Savage wouldn't know a date because the only ones he gets are inflatable. And Savage just goes, how would he know that? Like, oh, my fucking God. So that was just a funny little banter between them two. But yeah, man, the forced kiss stuck out like a sore thumb. It did not come off good.
Yeah, I don't think that's something that would have happened today.
Well, especially with what Lawler just got done dealing with.
Right. Yeah.
It's just like not good.
Yeah. Backlund says that he tried to improve everyone's lives. He claims that the people have changed drastically within the last 10 years and calls the fans weak. Bob says that he never gave up and he never submitted and proclaims that he's still the WWF World Champion. Backlund says that Brett is a part of a society and he wants nothing to be a part of that. We see footage from Superstars where Backlund attacked Brett following the championship match, and he put Hart in the chicken wing submission. So, Backlund doesn't want to be part of this society or this community or whichever. He's still claiming to be the WWF World Champion, although it's been 10 years. I don't know why. And he's been already back in the company.
Literally.
During this whole change in attitude is just a little bizarre. But WWF never really has had great continuation for the most part.
Right.
What did you think of the Backlund promo, since we both agree that the whole dating and proposal thing was a little weird?
It wasn't horrible. I'm glad they kind of connected the dot. First of all, Bob Backlund appears in the ring out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah,
like,
there's
King
no
says his name, and there he is. Like, holy fucking shit. What is this guy, a ghost? Like, he's just there. Yeah. So it's like, Jesus Christ, he's already throwing you off. Then he gets on the mic, and he seems genuinely pissed. And, like, maybe part of Bob Backlund, like, actually believes what he's saying. That's what it kind of feels like. Regardless, like commercial breaks cuts the segment, so it's obviously going way over what they wanted to.
Mhm.
And Backlund's really not letting King kind of control the segment. He's kind of like hogging the mic. So that kind of made me like, okay, fuck this guy. You know what I mean? He's just, and he kept saying the same things over and over again. So I felt like he was really like running out of arguments to make.
I think Bob's not very good at ad-libbing. So when
No.
he has material, like he'll stick to that and then just continue, just always repeat it. To fill
Yes, and that's what it felt like. So I mean, other than that, it really wasn't bad. It helped validate Bob Backlund a little bit for like his motive and whatever. Which is of course the direction I figured they'd try and go in anyway. But I still wish it wasn't with a guy like Bret Hart. I almost wish it was like with a like 1-2-3 kid.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Somebody who's really new generation and like really vastly different from Bob Backlund. Because really, Bret Hart's one of the guys who still kind of blends the mold a little bit from old and new. So I don't think he's the best target if you're targeting these bastard little new generation kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, it's because the styles are so similar. So I don't fully buy into it. But I don't know. Hopefully Bob kind of keeps going like this because I think eventually I could be okay with it, as long as we're not getting 20-minute matches again. So I came away a little bit more positive about it.
That's a pretty quick turnaround.
I said a little bit.
A little bit. That's still a change. I kind of like the Psycho Bob Backlund, so we'll see how that kind of plays out over the next several weeks. I'm not a big fan of necessarily the in-ring work, which we'll get into I think next week. But
yeah,
I mean, having a bit of a personality can make you stand out from the rest of the bunch. So
for sure,
we'll see how that plays out. Our main event, if that's what you want to call, maybe more so the last match to fill the last few minutes of the program is more accurate.
Yeah.
It's the Smoking Guns taking on George Anderson and Tom Bennett. Pretty much just filler. The Guns win after pinning Bennett. Guns have been really doing nothing for this whole year. What did you think of their squash and anything to really make out of it?
Again, for this one, you could really tell we were running out of time. I didn't have even too much notes on it. I mean, we get a rush finish to the tag match here. And the only thing I could think of was that how hilarious it was for the first live Raw in a while, how poorly timed it was.
Yeah.
They've been taped for quite a while now, I feel like. Last couple of weeks for sure.
I think at least 4.
Yeah.
I think ever since July 4th, they haven't had a live one.
Right. So it kind of bummed me out that the one that they do live again, it's like, finish. See you next week. Like, we didn't even get anything. It was like the pin, and then that's it. We're done. So I felt bad for the Guns here. It's really not much of anything for them, honestly. But you know what? To kind of encapsulate the whole episode here, it's a fucking awesome episode. Go out of your way to watch this one. It was realistically from the start pretty much nonstop as far as story development, action in ring, kind of everything you would want out of a Raw. And even the King's Court wasn't fucking horrible this week.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I highly recommend it. I think it's the best Raw we've seen in a long, long time. The only one that kind of jumps out to me since this one is maybe the Razor Ramon 1-2-3 Kid one, where the whole episode itself was pretty fucking good. This one I think falls right along next to it. So highly recommended. Great, great episode of Raw here. Hence why we're only an hour in and we're already kind of talking about the end of the episode. So usually that means it's probably pretty good.
I would say this was a great hype for SummerSlam.
For sure. This should have been the go home episode, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
Fuck.
Really?
How do you follow that up?
You can't.
Right.
And they probably don't.
Right.
Yeah, I highly enjoyed it. Really kind of flew by, especially after the first 2 matches. So anytime you have that kind of happen, it's an easy watch. So if you're in the mood for some 94 Raw, you want a sleeper women's match, and a sleeper in the sense of like it's pretty damn good. You might not know about it. Nakano and Alundra Blayze here really deliver the goods. Same thing with Shawn and Razor, obviously, to start it off.
Well, and I think those are good points to make because you think of Shawn and Razor, you think of the ladder matches.
Absolutely.
You don't think of regular one-on-ones. I didn't. I never did.
No.
So if you're in the mood for a good one-on-one between the two and a one-on-one that holds up almost as good as a ladder match, maybe just as exciting, check that out. And I'm somewhat of a Joshi mark myself. I loosely follow, and I loosely followed the classics kind of around the time as a Bull Nakano in her prime. If you enjoy women's wrestling in any capacity, whether it's Japanese, Joshi, or American women wrestling, definitely go out of your way to watch this, because this is one of the reasons why Alundra Blayze, she still goes over Japan, and she's huge. She's wicked over. And like, you might not know it if you just know her as like Medusa from WCW, but like, this is one of the reasons why, because she's so fucking good and you don't expect it. So definitely for those two reasons alone, watch it. And like Bob said, it fucking flies by. So if you're looking to fill an hour at a time, you want to watch some classic 90s wrestling, early 90s wrestling, put this episode of Raw on. You will not be disappointed.
Absolutely. We have two Raws to go. We have next week and then the week after that. And then we have a special Sunday night slam, which replaces Raw. It's pretty much your SummerSlam, spectacular, or what March to WrestleMania 10 would be. And I believe there's quite a bit of feature matches on that one, so that should be a good little rundown for the big event. And of course, we will do a live watch of the 1994 SummerSlam event as our first live watch as part of the regular ICOPOD series. So that should be fun. We'll take a break from taking notes. And then after that, we are right into mid-September of 1994 due to some preemptions. So we are moving along pretty quickly here for 1994.
Yeah.
It is pretty nuts. Pretty wild. Super Bowl 4 as a bonus episode should be out relatively soon. And then we've also have done Spring Stampede 94. They might be really close to each other in terms of when they're released, just because we want to maybe keep it in timeline. So by the time we get to October, like Halloween Havoc could be released in that same time frame for WCW. So be on the lookout for more bonus episode content. I think we're probably going to be sticking to WCW pretty regularly for bonus episodes. We'll try to get in other programs as we see fit. Maybe when you come down in November, we can figure something out along those lines, because I'll have a wide range of stuff that we could watch that's just not on the network.
Yeah, and I was going to say, too, I think it's a fair point that, previously with a lot of our bonus episodes, we kind of bounced around, especially with some of the Coliseum video stuff and really just kind of explored. But I think right now we're kind of hitting a groove because WCW really helps break stuff up for us, and hopefully it helps stuff, being broke up for you guys as well. I mean, we're putting out a lot of WWF content weekly here. So I think it's nice to just kind of pepper in a little bit of something different, but we'd love your feedback too. So if you would prefer more of the Coliseum video stuff, I think that's stuff that me and Bob have no problem doing. I just kind of like that how Bob really explained, we're kind of staying on track with the two companies. Maybe we're not watching, WCW as religiously, but we're keeping up with it because we're wrestling fans.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of a unique way of going through it. And I got to tell you, man, I have a real soft spot for WCW. So I am always down, whether it's a good pay-per-view, whether it's one I remember or not. I'm kind of always down for some WCW, but let us know what you guys think. I know in the past, you guys have really wanted us to watch and sit through some interesting shows that WWF put together for home video release, but I don't know. I enjoy the WCW stuff. So
yeah, the next show that we will have to watch for WCW is Slamboree 1994, and that took place, I believe, in Philadelphia. So the crowd will be a little rambunctious for that one. But we're just a couple weeks away from SummerSlam, and then I guess we have it's probably a month and a half before we get to Survivor Series for WWF. But
Yeah.
then after that, it's like full steam to Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. So it'll be interesting to see the build going into 95.
Right.
You guys can always get in contact with us on ICOPOD on Facebook, icopodcast@gmail.com, which is what Mike Campbell likes to send to me, despite being my Facebook friend, but that's okay. Sometimes I find it in time, sometimes I don't. But don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can maybe buy a shirt off Redbubble if you really want to. I don't think Austin's bought his yet, even though he said 4 months. He's biting his lip right now because he knows he has not. I bought mine well before going to Jacksonville for the AEW show, wore it to the AEW show, and Austin did not. So
Funds have been tight in Orlando, folks. Funds have been tight in Orlando. And you know what? I'm glad I didn't buy it because
funds have been tight in freaking Orlando where there's no income tax. You son of a bitch.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I didn't buy it, Bob, because I would have bought a 2X, and I can't wear a 2X anymore.
It could be a pajama shirt. You know that.
No. I want to wear it loud and proud.
Whatever. Just gain the weight back, and then
I was thinking about it, honestly.
Say fuck it. It was fun to go down, and now I'm going back up.
Like, I'm sick of not being able to eat more than 2 Oreos per sitting. Like, that's kind of bullshit.
It is.
So, I mean, might as well fatten up and just love ICOPOD for what it is.
Yeah.
You know? But I don't know. Maybe that's just me talking. I don't know.
You let us know, fans. Should Austin
gain back 70 pounds?
Get the 70 pounds back so he can buy a $16 Redbubble ICOPOD shirt.
Right.
You let us know. To be honest with you guys, I have not looked at Vince Russo's Twitter page because at this point it's just made me kind of depressed. So there was no Vince Russo update this week, nor is there going to be one next week. So I'm hoping that maybe for the Sunday Night Slam, I'll take a look at it and see what's going on.
Okay.
Because, that's the lead into SummerSlam, probably a relatively big show.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for that. Austin, do you have any other news or tidbit to let us hear about?
I wish I did, but alas, I don't. We're only about an hour in here, but I think we said all we needed to say, and I think this Raw speaks for itself. So again, I'll say it. Go fucking watch it.
You won't regret it, nor would you ever regret listening to us. For Austin Skinner, I'm Bob Conley Jr., and this has been an episode of ICOPOD.
You gotta go watch this episode of Raw. Like, I'm not shitting you. Go watch it.